Hey guys, I'm back with some more kayaking stuff. We've outfitted a couple of Pescador Pro 120s with motors. So I wanted to go over this stuff with you guys and give you some tips, show you a few things that we have done differently than what I did on the 100 that is in my other videos, and hopefully help you guys out. If you got any questions, let me know, and let's get it started. So I just finished up a pair of Pro 120s, Perception Pescadors, doing a trolling motor install on these. I just wanted to go over a few things a little bit different than the Pro 100 that I have the other video on. The cockpit is pretty much identical to the 100. The main difference is obviously it's 2 foot longer, but the rear section is quite a bit different than the 100. It's a little more rounded in the rear, not as flat as the 100. So we had to make a new mounting bracket, which was done on a CNC machine. So we have a file on that for anybody who needs it. They can contact us, as well as the 100. We have a file on that one as well. So I'm just going to go over some of the improvements that we made from the 100 to the 120, and also some of the differences between the 100 and the 120. Here is a motor. It is a Motor Guide R3. We cut about 12 inches off the shaft to bring it down to kayak size. We got a 3/8 by 3-inch hitch pin. We threw a little cable on there to make sure that it doesn't come off by accident if you ever got to pull this thing out of the water. Definitely don't want to be stuck on the water without that pin, because you will be paddling back. We got eye bolt at the top. That is for our tilt, which I'll show you. We got a PVC 90, which is 3/4 inch to 1/2 inch adapter. Our wires come out of that, which go to a waterproof connector. That's a 4-pin. We're actually only using 2 of those wires because we're using the PWM controller on this one. This is pretty much the only thing that has really changed from the 100 that I did. Instead of having an eye bolt on there with these 2 quick connects just freely floating on it, I went with a bolt and then a stainless steel coupler, nylon locking nut to keep those things solid, which basically just makes it to where there's less noise, no clicking and stuff like that from back there, because the other way was just, if you made a sharp turn or something, it might click and make a little bit extra noise. So that's basically what we got going on with the motor. So that is actually pretty simple. Cut the shaft down, drill 2 holes in it, and put your bolts in, and the rest of it is just the way it comes from Motor Guide. Alright, so that's the motor. I'll go over this bracket with you guys. This one doesn't have the motor in it, so you can get a little better idea of what it looks like without the motor. It's a 1/4 inch aluminum, so lightweight, won't rust. We got stainless steel bolts, won't rust. Relocated from the stock position of where the handle used to be. We relocated that to the mounting plate, so you won't lose the handle. Got our waterproof wire connector there. It's got some red paint on it to so whenever you're connecting everything, line up your red marks and you're good to go. That's our quick connect for the tilt. And then these are our foot controls. So that's 1/4 inch line. You can use a sprinkler line from Home Depot. You can use 1/4 inch air line. Just make sure it's some good solid stuff. Don't use rubber. Definitely don't use rubber. But what I did was, if you look in Home Depot's brass fittings department, there are some compression fittings that are also 1/4 inch. They sell 2 in a bag, and they're $1.64. Those fit that line perfectly, and they go about 1 inch down inside of the hose, so it won't go anywhere. And then we put some heat shrink on it that is marine grade, that has an adhesive on the inside of it, so it will not come off. You get that from Harbor Freight. Once you get that plumbed, you just run your 3/32 stainless steel uncoated line in it, put your ferrule stops on it, and that's about all there is to the foot controls. You connect them to the pedals up there, which is real simple. And to run your wires, an easy way to do it is to use a coat hanger. And you can, usually when you undo the coat hanger, it'll leave a few little bends in it, which is actually perfect because you slide that coat hanger down on the inside of that hose, and those little bends will actually help hold the coat hanger on the inside of the hose. And then you just feed the coat hanger through whatever hole you want, and it pulls the hose with it. So it's a simple little tip. But once you get that hose ran, that's how it comes out up front. Got a couple cable clamps there, also from Harbor Freight. And those run through the foot pegs. Got a couple holes there. When they come pick these up, we're going to sit them inside, and we'll figure out what length we want to make these. And then we have some ferrule stops that will go on there that are crimped on with a swagging tool, which you can pick up at Harbor Freight or Home Depot. I don't think Harbor Freight has those. And that's all there is for the foot pegs. I'll give you a tip on the well nuts. When you do these back here, I use a unibit that is 5/8, and I don't drill 5/8 holes for these, even though they're a 5/8 well nut. The unibit steps down and it steps up, so the top of that hole is 5/8, and the bottom of that hole is 1 step down from 5/8. And what that does is it gives you a super snug fit on those well nuts. So you can stick the well nut into the top where it's 5/8. You put your bolt into the well nut, and then you tap it with a hammer to get it past that step down, and then it's pretty much permanent. It's super tough to get out. So then when you crank your bolts down, it expands and gives you a even tighter fit. So when you do these, don't drill a 5/8 hole, not a complete 5/8 hole, about half the hole. So the tilt is a little bit different than on my Pro 100. I went to a carabiner instead. It's just a little bit easier to manage to get onto that eye bolt. Now you can pick up from Home Depot. It's got a little ring in it to so you put your knot on it real nice and tight. That's the tilt all the way up. So there's 3/8 air hose you see sticking up above the mount there. It's got a paracord running through it to the carabiner, to the eye bolt, which pulls on the top of the mount. So it's got some good leverage. So that 3/8 air hose runs down underneath the bracket, and it actually runs into a 3/8 brass fitting, and then on the other side of that brass fitting, it runs down 3/8 hose down into the kayak, and that brass fitting is there so that it will keep that 3/8 air hose in place and not go back down inside the kayak. It's just a simple way to keep everything in place. And then what happens is that 3/8 air hose comes out up here. Those cable clamps also come from Home Depot. or those actually come from Harbor Freight. The ones from Home Depot suck. So when you go to Harbor Freight to get your heat shrink, get the cable clamps while you're there. A Harkin 350 29 centimeter pulley, an eyelet to keep the paracord down low enough on the cam cleat to make it a lot easier to pull, a Nodus cam cleat, which is a lot lower profile than the Harkin that I used before on the 100. So to release the tilt, all you do is pull up and then let it go, and that's it. And the motor is down, and that is just connected to a lawnmower pull handle. This is how we're handling the throttle control for the trolling motor. It's a 60 amp PWM controller. Got the connections coming from the battery, connections going to the motor, and we just mounted that on a ABS panel, and then that just slides on in there, and then that will screw down, and then we've got, this is our throttle control. So this is completely variable, so you can go as slow as you want to go. And then this is your controls for forward. That's off, and that's reverse. Off is great because if you figure out that you want to go this fast and then something happens, you want to slow down for a second or whatever, you can just switch it to off real quick, and then when you're ready to go back, you just put it back to the forward position, and then you're still going that same speed that you were going before. So kind of once you get dialed in based on the wind and current and all that stuff, if you're trolling the bank and let's just say you want to go that fast, something comes up and you want to slow down or pause or whatever, that's basically your pause button right there. When you get ready to go again, now you're going forward again. So simple, easy, and pretty discreet down in there like that. That's just to give you an idea of what a PWM can do for your trolling motor. I mean, you can just barely creep along. For hooking up the battery, depending on how you want to do it, on these we just went with a simple one connection setup. When you take apart your motor guide, the head end of it, and on the bottom of it, it's going to have a little plastic connector. So what you do is just take that plastic connector, plastic grommet, out of the original head of the trolling motor, and you can reuse it right there to run your battery cables through. And then we just got a quick connects here, Atwood, pick them up at Walmart. So that is connecting the original trolling motor battery wires back to the PWM controller, and then this end of it goes on your battery. So it's a simple, quick connect. If you guys got any questions, let me know. I tried to give you guys as many specifics as I could this time. I'm also going to include some still shots, so you can pause them and check them out. And hopefully this stuff will help some of you guys out that like to do it yourself like I do.